are back for another special edition of the Ab Nation Tonight show with the hockey coach, road coach, franchise director for the beautiful country of talent. And we have all the way from West Summer in Ontario, from Ottawa, Mr. Marko beside me. And we have to go all the way to Toronto. It's far for me, Mr. ENORTAP. Welcome back in the house. Welcome for the special edition of the NHL Draft Lottery 2023. The Connor Bedard sweepstake tonight with what's happening the next maybe 45 minutes. We're going to see one team is going to get a Connor Bedard. So welcome both of you. Thanks to be join us tonight. Here we go. We wait for that 2 months now. We wait for that date for that night. I think for what's going to happen with the Montreal Canadiens. A lot of people in the chat before. Let's further ado to welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to click on the likes. I'll be a little bit time to try to say hi to everybody because this is a special edition. We want to just welcome you, all of you. Thanks again. And we're going to go straight there, Mr. ENORTAP and Marko. Let's start with Marko. What is the feeling? How do you feel about that, the NHL Draft Lottery 2023?
Well, all I can say, Coach, is I'm fully medicated. I got special prescriptions to try to keep me level-headed. I slept for about 45 minutes last night. I'm tranquilized. So I'll try to have a positive reaction no matter what happens. But, hey, what could go wrong, right? Florida beat the Boston Bruins, and then Florida beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. And now our pick is going to be 29th. So what else could go wrong, Coach? Nothing could go worse than that, right? So it would be impossible that two teams would jump ahead of us and we would pick 7th. Like, that's just not going to happen. It's not. No.
Sure.
No. Those are kind of that's my train of thought right now. A little chaotic. I'm watching. So, guys, I'm going to be looking up a little bit. Right now I'm looking at Kent Hughes. He's giving an interview. I don't know if he knows anything. He looks pretty calm.
That was exactly what I'm watching right now. I was thinking about is it before or after? Because I tried to read his mind or read his face. And
depends when the interview was done.
His eyes. He's got little bags underneath his eyes, though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's been up all night. That's for sure.
Hopefully, he has the same medication that I.
What about me and
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. You know, like we're going to keep our fingers crossed. Of course, last year we were in a little bit more of a strategic position, being number 32, and at least the numbers were bouncing our ways. This year, you know, to stay at 5th, it looks like it's about 25% opportunity that we stay there. But the scary part is that we can fall to 6th, and there's something like around the 44% chance that might be the case. But I have a gut feeling, and I've had it for a while. I think we're going to land at the number 2 spot. Whether it happens, we'll see very shortly. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and hopefully and hope for the best, of course.
Yeah, it's happening. Last year, the New Jersey Devils was 5th in the standing, like exactly what the Montreal has with 8.5. And they won the 2nd overall. That's what the reason they picked Simon Nemec last year after Jeff Sarkowski for the Montreal Canadiens. But the other odds are tonight. Anaheim Ducks at 18.5, followed by Columbus Blue Jacket, 13.3.5, following Chicago 11.5, San Jose 9.5, Montreal at 8.5. You can see the list all the way to the bottom with Calgary Flame and the Predator. Nashville 0.5. So people don't maybe not know. They have only 2 positions you can move up. The 2nd overall pick and 1 overall pick. A couple years ago, for a period of 5-6 years, you can have 3 teams always moving up but not exist anymore. And for the team 12 and 16, the only thing they can do if they win, they are going to jump spot of a move up of 10 position.
10 spot,
and 12 to 16, if they win it, they're going to finish 2nd. Example, like 12 go to 2nd. Automatically, Anaheim Ducks win the 1st overall pick that way. That's the reason why people don't confuse it with 18.5 to 25.5 for Anaheim Ducks, but the 7% is coming for the 4 teams together from 12 to 16, increasing the chance for Anaheim Ducks to get the 1st position. Every time that. If you watch my video a couple of days ago, I talk about it take 4 ping pong ball to win. It's a random combination of 4 number. how the process of the select the first overall pick from the ball all labeled from 1 to 14, and all 4-digit combinations about 1,000 at front a random of combination, and how many ball they get inside of combination they have a chance to win. But you go with the odds. So example, Anam have 185 combination number 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. I can go all the way like that, right? And that's how they can get a first overall pick. The Chicago have 135 combination, and Montreal example have 85 combination. That's how it works, the process, everything like that. Each team have a representative right now watching this live. The company hire a firm for the process, everything like that. So people say, oh, Batman or whatever, the NHL, they go around. It's not. Batman don't do anything else. You have to let the firm to doing everything. So I let it rumor like that way over there. But
from what I heard, is our representative that Montreal Canadiens sent to overview to look at the draft and make sure that everything was okay. I have on good information that Montreal sent Albert Jacki to make sure that there is no effing around. So Jacki is in the house. He's gonna make sure he's gonna run across the room and just like pile someone if there's any funny business with the number. So I think we should keep on.
I thought you had someone else was just delete the number of all the combination to be sure it's about the Montreal Canadiens, but we'll be see. Well, a few people got in the chat first of all, so we want to welcome everybody, and then I'm going to see what we got here. I would like to ask people maybe in the chat what of the feeling about this. Who do you think is going to win this? If you have a prediction tonight to go, what team do you think is going to get the first overall pick? I will go with ENORTAP on that one.
I'm a numbers person, so I'm going to go with the odds that are in the favor of Anaheim here. So I'm going to take Anaheim. They have the best shot, of course.
Yeah, Coach, I'm not a religious man. Never have been. But I prayed to little baby Jesus and a whole bunch of other, like any other gods that I found on Google. And,
don't make it too sacrilegious.
Yeah. So, but I didn't hear anything back from any of them. So I don't think it's going to be Montreal. My gut tells me it's going to be Columbus. That's kind of who I'm going with. But I have a sneaky, my backup, like my sneaky pick would be Philadelphia. I think might sneak in there too.
Yikes.
Yeah. If you go back again, Anaheim is Montreal, Columbus 5, Columbus, Chicago, San Jose, Montreal, Arizona, Philadelphia, and Washington Capitals, everything like that. I'm still debate between the Washington Capitals and the San Jose Sharks. I think it could be a surprise over there. The odds honestly tell us Anaheim Ducks, like Luke said, 75% should be the Anaheim Ducks, right? But surprisingly, I think it could be Washington or the San Jose Sharks. Just San Jose Sharks because nobody want them to get it. So I just want to go with them about that one over there. A few years, like the Detroit got a little bit go behind a couple of times for the last couple of years. They really go down, everything like that. So Montreal Canadiens, and they have number 1. If they can win, it's number 1, number 2, they move up. They have to stay at number 5. Worst case, Montreal Canadiens is number 6 or number 7. This is only 5 pick they can get for the selection 2023. That changed a lot. I think I would like to hear from you. What do you think your top 5 players? If is the case, would like to be if Montreal select between 1, 2, and 5, what would be your top 5 player for the Montreal Canadiens?
So obviously number 1 for sure. We all know who that is. Again, I have my doubts about Fantilli a little bit, but I still think at number 2, it's probably what would happen. Again, like I question a little bit his hockey IQ. I wouldn't be surprised, if Carlson would be close there, but it'll probably be Fantilli. But if we're not there, then we're picking 5 to 6. Then I think for me, Michkov is the guy that I'm taking if I'm at 5. Like if Smith is off the board, if Carlson is off the board, and everything else, then I'm going Michkov. After that, it's between Benson and Leonard for me, depending who's left on the board at that point.
Yeah, I think the first few are not that difficult to look at. Obviously, Connor Bedard, number one. With Fantilli, he joins both Eichel and Career as just the third freshman to ever win the Hobie Baker Award as the top player. So that speaks volumes to his ability, and he had some stiff competition in that category this year. So I would be very, very pleased if we got Fantilli as well. Number 3, again, I mean, the unanimous number 2 should have been Michkov if obviously he's available right away. But I would probably slate him at the number 3 spot. But it depends on whether teams are waiting or have the patience to wait that long for him to come to North America and join their current team, and whether he'll get here. I mean, that's always a distinct possibility. And I know we say it'll happen somehow, but we don't know that with any certainty. So you are taking a bit of a gamble there. 4, I would probably put Carlson at that stage if I'm going to put Michkov at 3, and then it's a toss up between I would say Zachary Benson out of the WHL and Will Smith. I mean, both are very, very promising. In Benson's case, he put up I think close to 100 points this year with the Winnipeg Ice. In Smith's case, I think he had 125. So they're very comparable. They're both, I believe they're both centermen. I'm not sure if Benson is a winger or a centerman. I think
he's a wing.
I think he's he's a winger.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I think those are the unanimous 5, but you can make an argument for about another 4 players that are on that list to go as high as 5.
Yeah, if you look about the expert, they put Bedard categories 1, and then following by Fantilli, and then you have the mix of Michkov, Carlson, Will Smith, all 3 together, and then after that you have Benson, following by Devoski, Leonard. They are the 3 next one over there. You can add Oliver Moore and Edouard Chalet if you want to go a little bit deep. Someone expect maybe a Rimbacher could be now they pick on the top 10, but it would be interesting what's happening with those kind of section. I'm going to see a little bit more about that. I will ask you, what make Connor Bedard really special at your eyes? A lot of people thinking he may be a small WST think now he's not going to be successful in NHL in the playoff. Return that. But what makes Connor Bedard special at your eyes?
Well, the way that I would describe, So the way that I would describe Bedard, I think he's probably a mix between Barzal and Matthews. So he's got kind of the shiftiness and the kind of mobility of Barzal, and the ability to kind of wheel around, and very deceptive and everything else. But I think to be honest, I think he watched a lot of Austin Matthews shooting. You know how Matthews does the drag and he changes the angle of his wrist shot by dragging it towards him and changing the angle. And he's not only observed that technique from Matthews, but he's actually improved and perfected it even better than Matthews. So to me, that's what makes him special, is that, and just because he's a bit smaller in stature, it's his competitiveness that makes him really special, right? Like the competitive fire that he has. He's not weak for a shorter guy. And guys, you've heard me say this many, many times when talking about smaller players. There are small players and there are short players. Now, let's also talk about Zach Benson while we're having this conversation. Zach Benson is shorter. If you can call 5'10" short. I don't know, 5'10" is not that short, but he's shorter, but he's pretty strong. He's actually very strong and very tenacious, right? So to me, Bedard is kind of the same thing, right? Like Look at Nick Suzuki. Like, he's almost 200 pounds, but he's under 6 feet. But I wouldn't call him small. So I wouldn't worry too much about Bedard's ability to compete in the playoffs, to be honest. Like, guys, we always talk about this. There's different classifications of players, right? There's generational players, there's franchise players, there's elite players, there's probably other levels. I think this is the first generational player since McDavid. I don't think Dahlin wasn't a generational player. To me, he's the only generational player that's been available since Connor McDavid, in my opinion.
ENORTAP, you want to add something?
I would agree 100%. I mean, he's definitely a generational and franchise type of player. I mean, this guy has probably nothing left to prove at the levels that he's been playing at right now. So he's going to turn around. He's going to literally change, I think, the trajectory of whatever team drafts him this year. It'll speed up a process if a team is rebuilding. If a team just had a bad year, and you might throw Columbus in that category, to add somebody of his is going to really move the needle for them. This guy, it's not that he has incredible fast speed, but he's incredibly elusive. Primarily due to his puck skills and his ability to really beat his opponent both with his hands and through their feet. Like, he's incredible, and we saw that goal that he scored at the juniors game this year. That I think it tied up the score at that time. Just an amazing situation with him. I mean, you could tell this is a gamer. When the going gets tough, he gets going, and he puts the weight of the team on his shoulders, and he just doesn't buckle to stress or difficult situations that come up. I think he's got an incredible release as well. And like whoever gets him is going to be extremely fortunate.
Well said, both of you gave a little bit a preview of Connor Bedard, but the biggest difference for Connor Bedard, for what the experts said, is most is about his release, his mechanic for the release, his shot. There's no one close like him. He just have the best one mechanic shot for the whatever is a one-timer shot or whatever is a two-drag shot. Balance on both legs. He can beat you from the outside legs. He can put that direction of his body on the one direction, like the net is in front of you, his body is this way, and he find a way to put his balance on one to left leg or the right leg and release that puck with that kind of the rapidity or the speed and the strength of the shot is unbelievable. At a point is going to be better at what they already have with Matthews, everybody. So that's really what changed really who is Connor Bedard. With everything else, the shifting of his vision and with IQ plus his hands, put this all together. His speed is good. I think he have a really good, great movement for lateral from the left to right. But he's not like the biggest or the fastest player on the ice for sure, like McDavid. But is a guy at some point is going to be a player could reach the 110 to 120 players a point per game per season. That would be something. But I can do this with a 50 goals per year. That would be not a problem for him about that. Again, it would be better for him to play center winger. The time we tell us, but that's what make him different compared to anybody. You're absolutely right, Marko, about the fact like he has been the player with Saint McDavid. Is the most player searched by any other team in NHL. He's going to change whoever get the first overall pick. That transformation of that team is going to be faster if they're rebuilding or whatever they want to. They're going to be an amazing, great hockey player for him. That's the reason why Bedard, everybody was waiting for him for that draft.
Okay.
We are right now a couple of minutes to know which team is going to get a Bedard on that one.
Man, I can feel it. Coach, do you remember at the World Juniors? They had these great close-ups of Bedard when he was doing his wrist shot. It was kind of like a slow motion, and they got on his face like the force. This is my impression of Bedard in the slow motion when he's shooting. Like his face would be like, like just so intense in his face. Like he had this like crazy facial expression. It's almost like he gets extra muscles from like the face that he does when he shoots. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Guys, I think I'm really nervous. Like we're 5 minutes away here.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
starting to
getting
ramble.
closer and closer about this. This will be starting. You have still come the interview left and right. We want to welcome a lot of people in the chat tonight because it's special. We want to say hi to everybody. Now we cannot go one by one. We want to do a little bit more thinking about what's going to happen in the next couple of minutes for we're going to stay live, by the way, after. So we're going to give you a little bit information about after the post, the result, the outcome. We know we have to go to change after that for the game between the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. The game starts at 8:30. We're going to be late, so it's not a matter. We don't go to shut down here. We're going to leave the building here. We are completely done with the NHL draft lottery, and then we're going to move on to the game between the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Game number 3 tonight between both teams. The series is tied 1-1. Will be interesting what's going to happen. All of this is weird while playoff 2023. So I will not be surprised tonight. Again, it will be wild and weird for the result of this NHL draft 2023. By the way, Gary Cournoyer mentioned it's May 8th. May 8th is the month of the 5th of the year, and 8 is the date. Is equal 8.5% odds for the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know. I want to mention what Gary said to us the last couple of minutes. Everything. Any question you want to put, guys, on the any question you want to add about players, everything like that in the chat, don't hesitate if you want to know specific player, everything like that. The biggest question after Bedard is really about Michkov. So that's what happening about him. We know he's not going to be played when the NHL until 26, 27 when the season start. It's a pushback about 4 years behind. He's going to be about 22 years old when he's going to be played in the NHL. A lot of people are resistant about the fact we should bring him. We should not have him. The Montreal Canadiens or any other team, they are too worried about he's never going to play in NHL that can go all the way. That is made the same thing like Ovechkin a couple of years ago. They was talking about the same with Ovechkin. They have another player, I cannot recall it. I read yesterday, I cannot recall who he was. They was said he would never go to play in NHL because the KHL will hold him, everything like that. By the way, the contract of Michkov is $1.3 million per year with the SKA and the KHL.
So he's going to be motivated, right, to get out of there after if he can, for sure. Let's put it in perspective. So to me, like really what matters is will he be ready to come when we're ready to compete, right? So you want this player to be in the same window as kind of the team that we're going to have, right? So if you project as to kind of what the core of our roster is going to look like in that season, 26, 27, well, like Nick Suzuki is only going to be 26 years old. Cole Caulfield, I think is going to be 23 years old or 24 years old. And Doc is like the same age, right? So he's only going to be about 2.5 years younger than Caulfield and Doc and those guys, right? So I'm okay with that, right? Like if to me, Coach, we've talked about this, like we need elite talent at this point. Like we've been incredibly unlucky with the drafts that we've had. Like we, unfortunately, last year, like I think we all love Slafkovsky, but could you pick a worse year to win the lottery than last year? No, that's probably one of the worst. And then before that, then we won't go into Kotkaniemi versus Tkachuk and all that. But so we were unlucky or really bad decisions there, right? So listen, like you can't afford to miss a lot on your first round picks. And unfortunately, I'm not saying that Slafkovsky is a miss, but I think he was arguably one of the best players available. I feel strongly about Jiricek as well. But listen, like I think
no, you're right. I just want to Marko to add this. You're absolutely right about Slafkovsky. It's just that draft 2022 was not the best draft to select number one. You can consider. I just want to add that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just luck at the draw, right? So go ahead, ENORTAP.
Yeah, I was going to say that's. I think that's the point you were trying to make. That unfortunately wasn't one of the strongest years to draft those players. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that the players that went top 5 last year are not going to make it in the NHL. Or I mean, they're going to be great hockey players, and they will definitely contribute to their respective teams, including Slafkovsky with Montreal. But you're right. There wasn't I don't think, anyways, there was a franchise type of player in that mix. Whereas this year, you can make the argument that there's a couple, and if you look at it closely, there's at least 6 or 7 that would be considered probably top 3 forwards. If we're just looking at forwards, that will definitely make the NHL and contribute immensely. In Michkov's case, like, he's played for 3 different leagues already this year. He's been with the KHL, the MHL, the VHL. It's not like he's had a year off and you have to worry about him not being either in shape or has lost a year of development.
No.
He's definitely progressing. He's a very intense hockey player. He is very quick and fast. He really his biggest threat is off the rush, from what I've seen. Like, he's got a great stick as well, and his stick handling ability is amazing. Like, this guy can probably make plays in a phone booth and still be very, very effective. He's definitely a difference maker offensively speaking. His size. He's another 5'10". So that magic number keeps coming up with a few players. But I agree with you, Marko. Like, he's that size, but he's also well built, and
he's pretty
not afraid of contact. So,
guys, like, he's got the best point per game for an undrafted player in the KHL in history, above Ovechkin, above Panarin. His point per game as an undrafted player is the best in history. So I think those numbers kind of speak for themselves. Guys, I'm seeing they have the general managers are on a Zoom call. They have it up on the screen here. So getting closer. Coach, you see that? They have everything up here. I think we're about to get started here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's coming very soon. I just want to finish with Michkov. A lot of people, first of all, Sarkowski, we have to wait 3 years, 4 years before he become what we expect from him. Many players like Lafreniere, Kako, and many players reach their full potential after 3 years, 4 years. So we have to wait until then. The second thing I would say to each one of you guys is this about Michkov. He's the best player get out of the Russia after Ovechkin. That's what he is. If you have no problem about Russia happening, he is going to be a compete with Bedard and the top best 2 players in the NHL draft 2023. This is what he is right now, Michkov. The biggest question is about, okay, can the team wait 4 years to get him?
Yeah.
What the difference between Michkov versus Fantilli versus Will Smith and versus Leo Carlson? The difference between all 3 versus Michkov, is it a big gap or is not? Because now you cannot develop him for 4 years until like Fantilli can be with your team right now, or Carlson can be there in the next 2 years, and Will Smith have to go at least 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 years before he returns because he's going to the Boston University. This is the biggest question around Michkov, in my opinion, for the team when they evaluate the player versus the 3 others. That's what the gap is, really where they really believe how the team, how they develop the player, how they can wait, where they at on the rebuilding or retooling, whatever you want to add. This is what I believe the team going to select him are going to get that way over there. So that's what I think that's what the biggest question about that. Now, when people say you never complain in the NHL or what happening over there, guys, it's for today until next 4 years. So we don't know what the KHL would maybe not exist anymore. We don't know what could happen in the next 4 years. But talent-wise, player-wise, who is Michkov? He is maybe one of the closest players close to Bedard on my NHL draft. This is a big question for the team. Can they wait 4 years? I think this is where the Montreal Canadiens have to figure out that, or any other team. Some team right now in the top 5 won't be possible. They can select 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, have maybe a little bit more patience for what they at right now, and maybe say, you know what, we can wait for Michkov because during the next 4 years, like example, San Jose Sharks. San Jose Sharks don't go nowhere. They don't have They have salary cap problem.
Yeah.
They have to the next 2 years to drop every money they have there to figure out something. This is a team really can select Mitch Cobb. Compare like Columbus Blue Jacket cannot do it. I would be shocked Columbus go there because they're already Goodrow, Werenski,
Right.
all the prospect they have already there. So all depends the team are going to get in front of one Mitch Cobb is the leaderboard. He can
And really,
go ahead.
if you look at the list of the teams, let's say the top 8, really Columbus is the only one that can't wait. I think all the other teams that are in that category, Chicago, Anaheim, San Jose, Montreal.
I don't know. I don't know. I think Anaheim's a bit closer, right? Anaheim's a bit closer, I think.
They're a bit closer because they have a couple players, but there's even a lot of rumors right now that they're contemplating some trades this summer, which to me baffle the mind. But I don't know. I don't know what direction they want to take. Whether they want to, just go through their draft and the prospects that they already have, because they have some good prospects in the system. So, but it'll take time to develop, and so maybe that's a possibility. I doubt it if they win the lottery, because I think Bedard is the consensus number one, but you never know.
Yeah, you can't overlook Chicago too, right? Like they really demolished that to the studs, right? So they're going nowhere in a hurry either. So I think they might be perfectly fine. If they were to drop, they might be a team to look out for as well.
Here we go.
Arizona.
We can't go to knock the door now for the draft. I just want to mention everybody to understand. We have me and Thailand, and we have Marko in Ottawa and Enata are in Toronto. So the difference between me and them, and you guys in the chat, many of you watching live, I'm behind every one of you. So I have about 90 seconds behind, maybe 60 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. I don't know exactly the time we are. But right now, that's why. So you have maybe some reaction from the live streaming right now from Marko and ENORTAP. They're going to try to keep their cool and not show anything. Now, for me, it's easy. I can go to the chat watching what you type. I can know exactly, but I'm not going to get there. I'm going to follow what's going on the TV. You're going to see my daily reaction of what's going on. So I just want to mention everybody. And I understand people will be excited. They want to put this in the chat. I will say to you guys, you can do it. Don't worry about me. It's fine. You can go there. And I just want to mention this because we cannot, it is what it is at the end of the night. So I just want to share it with you. But we wish the best. Again, Montreal Canadiens have 8.5% the chance of the select number for the winner number 1. They are 8.6 number 2. They are 24.5 for number 5th. And they have 44% chance to win to drop at number 6. This is what the odds for the Montreal Canadiens, if I can write around Marko, right?
Yeah. Here we go, Coach. I see Kevin Weeks is about to get started here, but you'll see that in a couple of minutes. But, Coach, I can't guarantee if Montreal is, if it's number 5 and their number hasn't been picked yet, I'm not sure that I won't be able to poop my pants live stream.
Well, it's because you automatically know it's either number 1 or 2.
Exactly. I think that's the key thing, right? Like if we get to number 5 and Montreal still has.
Like what you just said, Coach, just mute them.
Yeah, just close the whole chat. Open it up after number 1.
Mute everybody about that one over there. So that's where we are, guys. Almost at the door. See the flip card about this. Again, this if you want to know more about explain how this works, guys, you can watch my video I created a couple of days ago and see. Things is, the time, the evolution of the technology, internet, that, and the social media changing. You can see now the Anaheim and the Columbus and the people have more like the kind of celebration over there to see who's going to get number 1. This is a big moment. Some people in the chat said this is a time where you have Jack Eichel, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, while everybody was waiting for the number 1. This is what Connor Bedard bring on the table right now for tonight. So he's going to be the one's going to change everyone. We want to welcome everybody. A lot of people right now on the chat to welcome. And again, usually we welcome one by one because tonight is a special edition. We'll welcome everybody at the same time. So thanks for joining us. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like. We are about 5-6 likes to reach 50. If you can get there, that'd be great. If you can get that number. This is the time for that Montreal Canadiens fans. Yes, we're on the channel. We do Montreal Canadiens first, but we do every other team. But this is the time for the Montreal Canadiens because the result of this outcome could change the speed of the rebuilding for the Montreal Canadiens for the next couple of years, everything like that. It can be one way, but it could be that way too. And I'm going to talk about this after the outcome because I think Montreal Canadiens could be a regress with the selection of tonight, in my opinion, and with the Florida Panthers. So we want to wait about this after the show of the result of this because, like Marko said yesterday, I think he bring a good point about that. So, and hold your thought about this, Marko, about the Montreal Canadiens could go to another way, everything like that. At the end of the day, we're going to wait this. Maybe one of you or maybe in the chat give us in the chat who's going to win the overall pick, first overall pick. That'd be great to hear for each one of you. Any comment about picks, fake players, everything like that. And then after the show, after this, we're going to talk about the result. We're going to talk about who get those selection. And then maybe we're going to add Montreal Canadiens select number 5 or 6, 7 or 1 or 2. What do you think Montreal could select? What kind of player they could chasing to get? And then if ever the Florida Panthers go 29, we're going to talk about 29 at some point before the end of the show for the Montreal Canadiens. We know Montreal have a second first round pick 2023 is a selection of the Panthers. And obviously for the Montreal Canadiens, at some point, everybody was excited at the middle of the year to see the Montreal Canadiens maybe to get a pick before no playoff team. Unfortunately, Florida Panthers knocked the entrance for the playoff. Now, there was 17 overall for the Montreal Canadiens. But now, if the Florida Panthers win and beat and move up to the round number 3, Montreal will go now to 17 to 29, and then all depend the result after that. It could be 29, 30, 31, 32 overall pick for the Montreal Canadiens for the selection of the Florida Panthers. So this could be a really bad overall for the Montreal, unfortunately. But a draft is a draft, player selection is a pick. Everything like that will be interesting what's happening about it. Anything you want to add before we move on?
Well, Coach, you were mentioning it let's be honest, this is a conspiracy involving the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And obviously the Florida Panthers are somehow involved in this. I don't know why Florida is doing this to us, but Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs, they're colluding to very much get, get in the...
Here we go.
Okay, here we go. We're underway here, people. Calgary, good to go.
Yeah.
Calgary did not win.
Calgary got number 16.
So right now, he's just talking to talk right now. I'm just want to show you where I am right now. He's still talking. John
you're behind me. We're on 15 now.
Yeah. I thought I would let you know at least the first couple ones because it's impossible. They're not good. It's impossible, right? Yeah. They're not going to win. It's impossible.
Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville.
Nashville, number 15.
Okay, just to distract us a little bit because it's going to be hard. I'm going to look, but Coach, it's likely that we're probably going to pick 6th or 7th, right? So maybe let's have a little bit of a debate between Ryan Leonard and Zach Benson. I know you've been concerned about Zach Benson a little bit because of his size. You think Montreal needs to get big. Why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your thoughts between Leonard and
Benson?
The other player? Yeah, Benson.
Well, for me, it's no, I'm number 14, by the way. I don't know where you at, you guys.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, 13.
We're
13 is
Pittsburgh, still number 14. So that's what we get. Let me thinking here about this one there. So right now we have the 3 pick of select directly Calgary, Nashville, and Pittsburgh. 16, 15, 14. They are right now on that. Number 13 is supposed to be Buffalo. Would be interesting if we get the Buffalo. Yes, we got Buffalo right there. So we are now on the straight. And now you can Kevin Adams. So that's okay. Don't worry about that. I know what I'm going to do. Okay, move on. Then following by now, the number 12. It's supposed to be number 12, guys. The Ottawa Senator pick for that one over there. They got that pick from the Arizona Coyotes when they got Jacob Chikron at 12 for Ottawa Senator for Pierre Dorion, number 12. Following now by the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver Canucks could be the team I believe could select David Renbacher, in my opinion, as a number 11. We'll see if they get that one with them. Mr. Daly is going to flip the card and said, here we go. It's going to be who? Yeah.
So good.
Vancouver
Everything so far.
Canucks. So far, we have no change. Good news for
No
the
movement,
Montreal
no
Canadiens.
movement.
And then for the same time, we have a good news for the Anaheim Ducks. But now they said, what? We cannot win automatically. So that's not good news for Anaheim Ducks at the same time. Now we're going to move on to Detroit Red Wings. Detroit got still robbed for the last couple of years. Oh! The St. Louis Blues before the Detroit apologized for that one over there. Doug Armstrong is very happy about that pick. Said, okay, got it. The St. Louis Blues have 3 selections on the first and the 2022, 23,
No
3
changes.
pick
No
first
changes.
round. Number 9, the Detroit Red Wings. So far, the top 7 pick from 16 to 9 are the same. Steve Eisenman is okay. Don't worry about that. We're going to be fine here. Washington Capitals number 8. One of my selections, I said maybe they were going to get that one over there. I know you guys, you're behind me. You're in front of me, so I don't want to
We're
look
ahead
at
of
you.
you.
Just constantly
We're ahead of
talking
you.
here. The Washington Capitals number 8. So far, so good. We'll be interesting now. We move up. We have 2 positions before the Montreal Canadiens can get there to move up. A number is getting more stress right now. Number 7, the Flyers again. They get it or not? This is the one. I'll be very cautious about this one over there. The Flyers get number 7. Montreal now on the top 6 of the NHL draft 2023. Daniel Brière, he said, okay, they got it. Number 6 now. Can the Montreal Canadiens drop down in 1 spot when that number 6 is announced by John Daly? He's going to say the number 6 here. The Arizona Canadiens and Montreal Canadiens number 5 right now. They are on the next top over there. Can the Montreal Canadiens change the position now? This is the moment of what we wait for about 2 months now. The Montreal Canadiens select number 5 or not. This is the turn of the card. Is it great or not? We'll see what happening. Daly turned to flip the card. Oh my God! The Montreal Canadiens are going to be number 5 overall.
No surprise. No surprise.
No surprise. Well,
So far, it's all to script.
Let's not complain. Statistically, this is actually pretty good for us, right? It could have been 7.
We were supposed to get 6th or 7th.
It's not
number
the worst
4. The St. Louis Sharks. So far, I have no chance about that.
No,
there we
They
go.
just went to a commercial. They just went to a commercial here, Coach. So
yeah, for the final 3.
The final 3, Chicago, Columbus, and Anaheim. Wow. No change on the draft. And the Montreal Canadiens are on number 5. Wow.
That's very, strange. Usually there's some kind of movement, right? But this year it doesn't look like there's going to be.
Your wild card coach didn't come to fruition. Washington, not going to get it.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, no Philly.
Nothing.
So I don't know. I think we're going to pick Mitchkov, guys. Like that, he's going to be there at 5.
Who did you go with, Marko, for number 1?
I picked Columbus.
Oh, Columbus, and I had Anaheim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coach picked like 8 different teams. He cheated. He's like, well, I thought about this,
but they all lost.
Yeah.
Now, people in the chat talk about different players. 2 of them, they said, and Rabinov said Mitchkov or Smith. We have people said possible Benson in the conversation. Some said Leonard for John Mickelson. 5th Bedard, 7. Nicholas, that's a good point about this from the watermelon coach about that one over there. Then we have Yann Gionnet, welcome aboard. We'll be interesting now. We have 3 positions. I'm still in the commercial. You're going to get know about me before that. But whether we talk about this earlier, right? The Montreal Canadiens now are going to have selection number 5. We know already Bedard will be out. Fenton will be out. Carlson will be out. Now it's going to be between Smith and then going to be now interesting right now because the odd does not change. So if it does not change, and I'm going to wait for the next 3 position. But if you're Montreal Canadiens, are you going to try to hit the home run with Mitchkov? Are you trying to go with Will Smith, Benson, or Leonard?
Will Smith is not going to be there. Will Smith's not going to be there.
He might go 4th. I think
he might end up in your worst place. Coach, he's your favorite in the draft, and he might go to your nightmare team. He'll go to San Jose. Will Smith to San Jose.
Yeah. I think that would be, if I'm San Jose Sharks, that's what I do.
Yeah.
So if he go there, Carlson go number 3, that open up for Will Smith.
It opens
Yeah.
up for
So
Michkov for Montreal. Yeah.
I think for Montreal, like, so let's say San Jose, they decide they can wait and they pick Michkov, then I think Will Smith lands in our lap. You know, guys, the one thing that we haven't mentioned, and let's hope this is not true, there's rumors out there that Habs management absolutely love Dvorsky, like love Dvorsky. So let's hope they don't
Yeah,
love him enough to draft him at 5.
be right now. That would be a heck of a reach, though,
It
because
would
his
really be.
stock has really gone down.
Well, he
So
had a really good under 18, right? Like he had a really so I think his season brought him down, but then now he's back up because of the U18 that he had was really good. And let's think of last year, right? Like the Montreal Canadiens and their management team went to the U18s and the Worlds, and they saw Slavkovsky, and maybe they have a recency bias, right? Like they saw Slavkovsky dominate over there. So I don't know, like I just hope they don't. Let's hope they don't go Dvorsky. Okay, I'm out.
right.
I'm out.
Number 3.
Here we go. We're
Go,
going to
Coach.
number 3 now, the Chicago Blackhawks. So we'll see if they're going to get it or not. We know for the wish for Nick for that one
I'm
over
out.
there. We have Chicago, Columbus, and Anaheim is coming very soon. I will just wait for the guy to flip the card. I'm still over there, so we're going to wait a little bit longer. I
always
don't know
find
why
this
they
funny,
don't bring
Coach,
him
when they
to
show
me.
the
I'm so
when they
behind
show the
about
draft.
that one over there.
boy.
I'm going to
I love it when they
Canadian
show
for the
the
people
draft.
to jump up. Here we go. He's going to slip number 3, the color of the Nashville Predator. The number 3 for the selection 2023. The Columbus Blue Jacket, OMG, they dropped from 3 to 2. Oh, this is a good news. And now it's going to be between the Chicago Blackhawks, number 3 to number 1, Anaheim. Chicago Blackhawks, they did everything. The fire sale, they fire everybody, DeBrincat and everybody. And now Kyle Davidson versus Pat Verbeek. Pat Verbeek looking good, by the way, Pat Verbeek about that one there. The number 1 selection
boy.
for the NHL Draft 2023 are going to be Flip by the cut of John Daly for Bill Daly from the NHL. The number 1 selection of the Chicago Blackhawks. They went all the way in the Anaheim Ducks. Get that fantasy unbelievable about that. Wow. What is your first impression, the Chicago Blackhawks, Mr. Marko?
Listen, I can see him in that jersey. I can listen, we don't love what they did, Chicago. Like, you know, I don't agree with how they've done things, but it worked. It worked. And I think the NHL is going to be really happy about this move. You can't think of a better market for Bedard to be in than Chicago. To me, this is very similar to Pittsburgh, right? Like they had Mario. They go through a bit of a tough time. Then whoops, you get Sidney Crosby. Well, congratulations. Like your franchise is going to have another cycle of like a franchise player. So these teams with multiple franchise players, what a horseshoe up there. You know what? Holy cow. So lucky.
You know, Nick, you must be happy out there, Nick. Nick must be ecstatic. You know what? As soon as he flipped that card, number 1, and I saw Chicago, the first image that came to my mind is Denis Savard, and when he joined Chicago. And this guy's going to have that kind of an impact on Chicago. I mean, he's not going to have the same supporting cast just yet, but he will. And he's going to contribute for many, many years with this team.
Do you think that they would trade him for Doc?
Who knows?
I don't know about that one over there.
He's pretty good. We have a Kirby Doc. Remember? He was really good in your team.
Oh, boy.
No, I think that's a good outcome for the NHL, Coach. Like, listen, like there's a lot that goes into this more than just the hockey team itself. Like this is a business, right? So you want a franchise player to go to a market where he can have a really big impact. So Chicago has had a really, really, I think I'm seeing some of the stuff here in the chat about how they're scum. And listen, like they had their glory days. And we know that during those glory days, there were some pretty controversial things that happened with that team. And, you know, it takes a little bit of the luster off those, what you could almost call it dynasty, right? Some of the things that happened there. So this is an opportunity for the Chicago Blackhawks to kind of start anew and you can't get better than Connor Bedard to try that with, right? So I think the NHL quietly is going to be really happy about this, that Connor Bedard lands in this kind of market.
Absolutely.
How
It's one
many?
of the top markets
Who was
in the States.
How many times the Chicago Blackhawks select first overall pick?
Well,
Only two.
It's
Only two.
three.
Who are they?
They had
Pat King
Savard.
and Connor Bedard. No, Savard was number 2.
Savard was
Remember,
not a first overall
Yeah,
pick.
number
no?
2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he became the
Wickenheiser,
second time of the history Chicago Blackhawks. They select first overall pick. The only one they got, it was Patrick Kane on that one
That's
over
right.
there. So that's what we get. We have a question for Anthony. I don't know if you can get it, everybody in the chat. When's the last time you guys could not remember because the team is still in the playoff and have been in the top 10 of the draft because the recent trade they make for draft picks?
Colorado?
I don't remember that.
Colorado? Like, didn't they have Ottawa's pick and they were in the playoffs? And they picked Byron?
The team is still in the playoff and up in at the top 10 on the draft because the recent trade to make the trade pick. Yeah, that's a good question. So the question is honestly like you are trade at the trade deadline, right? And you get a trade like a team, and they are going to be gave the first overall pick, and it could be like number 7 example, and the team got that pick and now still in the playoff. My opinion.
Well,
That's
like
cool.
I said, I think the closest one that I can think of is the Colorado Avalanche, right? When they traded that trade for Duchesne with Ottawa, and then Ottawa, everything went to crap, and Colorado was still a pretty good team, and Ottawa wasn't a very good team. So Colorado was in the playoffs, and yet they were still picking 4th overall because Ottawa was tanking for real. And then they drafted Byron, right? Or Byram.
The good news,
I don't think
there's Bedard more often
on
the TV. So that's the good news. He's not going to be on the West Coast. So that's the good news about us. It's still in the Central time, so it's not too bad at the end of the day. But go back to Montreal, Canadiens. Now they get number 5th overall. What your impression about that?
Like I said,
it's
I
what
think
we
it's
expected. I think numerically,
well,
I think that's where
we expected. It's better.
It is, but realistically, that's where they were going to end up. I know they had a greater percentage at landing 6th than they did 5, but I'm not surprised based on what I was seeing prior to that, and that is the teams that were going to possibly move 10 spots weren't moving at all. And at that point, you kind of suspected that they weren't going to move down. So I'm not overly surprised with that. I had hoped that once they revealed number 6, obviously we still had a shot at 1 or 2. So we could have landed there. But, it is what it is at this point. And there's still a great player that's going to come out of this.
I'm just relieved, right? Because, at the end of the day, we're okay. So obviously we're disappointed that we didn't get 1 or 2. Okay. But the odds were not amazing. So to me, though, the catastrophic result is that you drop 2. So the way that I look at it is now Kent Hughes and Bob Ross at least control their destiny a bit more, so they will get a player, like they have a menu of options versus if you're 2 picks away at that level, at that point in the draft can make a world of difference, right? So to me, I won't say they're in the driver's seat. Like obviously the top 4 selections are, that's a more favorable position to be in, but you have way better options at this point. And I think Montreal is going to focus on really heavily focused on, really scouting maybe 3 to 4 players that are going to maybe be there. So in my view, those players are going to be Smith. I think they know a lot about him already. I'm sure they're doing their due diligence on Mishkov at this point. They're looking at Zach Benson and Ryan Leonard. To me, those are the 4. Yeah, those are the 4 players that are in the mix of that position. We just, like I said, I hope that anything you're hearing about Dvorsky being in play at that stage You just hope that's wrong. Maybe if we were picking 7, maybe he's in the conversation. But at 5, there's no way he should be in the conversation. Now, Grant
No, I
McCagg is going to
agree.
disagree. Grant McCagg, I think, and how he can be pretty vocal on Twitter, and he has good insights, and he was pretty right about a lot of things in the last couple of years. But he's pretty high on Dvorsky. But I don't see him. To me, I view him as kind of like a Michael Backlund kind of player, which is a really good player. But I think you can do better.
If you're
Hopefully.
talking about this, like many times in our time with Marko, the app branch, and our time with the warm-up show we host, both of you guys are with me. We talk about, how many times we said we want to finish a bottom four, bottom four, bottom four. If now going to be trouble for the Montreal Canadiens because the players now. Everything changed. Like some we follow the channel for the last 3 years. Every year, the when you start in October, you do the Mark 1.0. You do another one, and after the World Junior Championship number is a 2.0. And then you maybe build another one in March, and then you do another one after the U18. The stock change all the time. I would never
Yeah.
thought at some point we have talk about 5 players at the top 5. I never thought it was coming that way. I think it was going to be a player number 5 or 6, 7 lower at the top 4. But the gap can get closer with Will Smith now with the top 4. I'm talking about Mitchkov, Fentelly, Carlson, and now we have to add the Will Smith. So Montreal at the end of the day, it's not end of the world to select number 5. I thought it would be worse if it was number 6, number 7 compared. Now they have a chance to get a player who can make a big impact for the Montreal Canadiens in the future. Talk about Mitchkov, talk about now. After those 5, whatever you talk about, Ren Leonard, Oliver Moore, Wood, Dvorsky, whatever the name, all right? No, we drop now. That's the 5 we talk about right now. They are the top line, any team in NHL. That's who's going to be those 5 if everything turn around where they're supposed to be. After that, it's not guaranteed at all. You're going to get a top 6 forward in the NHL, but you already have those kind of players. You have the Caulfield, you have the Zuski, possible could be that at some point. And that's what the biggest problem I can see right now, 6, 7. So on the flip side, Montreal be there. Now, the biggest question at the end of the day, and for the next, until Nashville and June 28th, is going to be that. Can Montreal select yes or no Mitchkov? That will be the biggest question if Mitchkov is on the board. If Mitchkov is already gone, Montreal is going to select Carlson or Will Smith. Every year, guys, have a player slip around, and it could be Leo Carlson.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it will be him that slips.
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, if he does, we're talking 1 or 2 spots. But
I would
you're
say
right. After
Fantilli would be more likely to slip. Honestly,
no, I don't think so. I really doubt that. If he does, it's no more than 1 spot. I mean, you're getting even at the number 5 spot, coach. I think you're getting a top 3 player, with the exception of Mitchkov. Like, he's the real calculated risk here, because this guy could be almost at the level of a Bedard, right? And if he falls to 5, they're going to say that was one heck of a risky move, but it paid off in the end. Otherwise, the other ones, you can't go wrong. Like, whether it's Leonard, it's Smith, it's Benson, Barlow, even, these guys are going to be a top 3 forward on your team, and they will make a difference. They will move the needle for you. It's just, I don't know if we're going to see much of a drop in the order here. Like, unless somebody has a great U18 here and really shines, and all of a sudden Dvorsky puts himself even higher in the rankings. I don't see that happening.
There's no more, like, the U18s already happened, right? So there's no more
hockey. Sorry. Just prior. I'm saying prior to the final rankings coming out, right? Unless somebody puts him at a higher spot. Right now, I have him slated at around number 10, Dvorsky. So I don't think that becomes an issue for Montreal. So we'll have
see.
to wait. Yeah.
We'll see. Like I said, I've heard some rumblings that they really like Dvorsky. And like I said, I was saying earlier, like they tend to get recency bias by players that they see. We'll see, but like I
But
hope
if
I'm wrong.
everybody get the Roski, we change what the Montreal Slovakia, or how are you going to call it?
Yeah.
Now we're going to have 3 Slovakia: Mezar, Sakoski,
Yeah.
and
And Dvorsky.
Dvorsky. How about that? For me, it's not a matter. For me, if you're asking me, Montreal have to go with what's the best of the top 5. If it's a Michkov, it's Michkov. If it's Smith, it's Smith. If it's Carlson, it's Carlson. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's go back again on that board. All right. Let's see what we think the team is going to select. Now, the Chicago is number 1, not number 3 anymore. I was going to select Bedard. Anaheim Ducks is going to select Fantilli. Are you agree with me or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now,
I think that's a good fit for them. Yeah.
number 3 is Columbus Blue Jacket. What are they looking for? A center.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So that's where Carlson comes in.
Yeah, because they already have
or Will Smith.
No, they already have Kent Johnson, who's kind of a similar kind of player. So I think they'll go for somebody who has a little bit better of a two-way game. Kent Johnson is kind of slick framed, slick playmaking kind of guy. So I don't think so. Kaikalainen or whatever his name.
I see Carlson. I don't see Carlson dropping there.
No.
The key is going to be San Jose here, and what direction will they go? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they could take a chance, like you said, Coach, with Michkov, since they're nowhere close to, start or finishing their rebuilding process, and so they can wait.
What do we know about Mike Greer? Like Mike Greer as a GM, like what has he shown us so far? About like, do we know anything about his public statements? About kind of what his philosophy is? He's a pretty new GM, right? So we don't really have much of a track record to go off of. But he looks like somebody that might be willing to take risks. Like he said, like if you look at how he's talked about trading Carlson, it looks like he was willing to be creative to do that. San Jose, like you've said, Coach, like they're a team that's just kind of like stuck in quicksand, right? Like because of where they are with contracts and everything else. So they need a game-changing kind of thing, right? So is Will Smith that? I don't know. Like it's going to be interesting to see. Let's see if we can get Mike Greer on the show.
See what you say about Fantilli is a grass together. I think for make Columbus need one looks that we cannot select the position. No look, but when you have 2 players at most equal at the same level, right, and you don't see a very big gap, and you look at your lineup right now, you need a center. And I think could be now makes sense if they get Carlson. But now Carlson, many people said he played winger for the last 2 years. So people think he's a center, but he does not play winger for the last 2 years. So
that's a valid point.
And the same thing now, Will Smith is the one he played in the backyards of the Columbus and the Team USA and with Michigan. So now he's going to be with Boston University. I don't said they will select Carlson automatically. But my biggest question now is going to be Michkov with San Jose Sharks. That's the only thing about this. If it's not, so at the end of the day, we all agree together, and maybe the fans is going to be Michkov, Smith, or Leo Carlson.
Yeah, unless they go completely, out of left field here. Like to me, those are the players that are in the pocket. I don't think Leonard is maybe in the conversation. There's a gap there, though, right? But it depends how strongly they feel about Leonard. I know a lot of people feel the same way about Moore, but I think Leonard corresponds more to what Gordon and Hughes like, more so. I don't think they're that desperate to get a center, to be honest, Montreal. I think they don't feel terrible about where they're at with their center depth after kind of...
Yeah, but the thing is, we got to keep in mind that even though a lot of these players are centermen, they can easily be converted to wingers. And that I don't think they're going to be stuck on the notion that it has to be a winger or a centerman. I think they're going
No.
to pick the best player that is available and then see how that fits into their plans and whether he works at center or they have to put him to the wing. Like in Montreal's case, you're right. They might convert whoever they pick to a winger.
Coach, I was thinking about their 29th pick now, and I think yesterday we were talking about it, and I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe you go for Oliver Bonk with your second round pick. If both Sandin Pellikka and Reinbacher are gone, if we're at 29 or 32, I've been seeing Oliver Bonk climb a couple of different boards from a couple of different people. I wonder if Montreal goes with Bonk.
It would be too early for him.
I think
right
so.
there.
I'd rather.
You have other defensemen
rather-
for him, like Tom Wallington. Wallander is another big one. I don't know. He's going to be earlier in the draft. If I'm Montreal, I go after him right away before Bonk. My opinion for the defenseman.
He's not right-handed.
Yeah, I know.
No.
But you talk about one of the best defensemen, maybe would be 15 at some point now. What he get? Some people compare him like Bedard at some point. I was sending Pellikka. But we'll be interesting. At 29, you have other option. I think the Montreal Canadiens at 29 to 32, they have a player going to get supposed to be the top 20, 24, and he can get that one. Talk about for me, if you have a chance to put Daniel Bott, there's been another one over there. But the option of the 29, 32, you get now a top 9 players and possible a second pairing or third pairing play in NHL if it's the case. The good news about this, the only good news for Montreal Canadiens, Marko ENORTAP, is the draft 2023 is deep. When I said deep, it's not like they're going to be an all-star in NHL. But this year, compared to any other year, after 20
More
to 32,
players.
they still have a good chance to become a hockey player in NHL. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. We should see more of this class come out of that first round and make it to the NHL than previous years. I mean, one guy I would love to see, and we do need a winger, would be Gabriel Perreault. Now, I don't know if he'll be gone by the time that Florida pick comes around.
I think he's
because right now he's ranked in the low 20s. He's around 22, 23.
He's climbed in a lot of lists. Recently, he's climbed in a lot of lists. I think he's going to go like 15.
Thanks a lot. You remember Automato Roblox. We appreciate that. Great comment for Roger DANY. We welcome everybody. If you all did not click on the like, we appreciate a lot. We would love to have each one of you click on the like. New people, don't forget to subscribe. We have a lot of people. I'm impressed by the knowledge of the people in the chat knows draft picks, prospect. A lot of people knows Angstrom. Nicholas knows Angstrom. A lot of people knows players. That's great to hear that. And the fact Montreal for the last 2 years are going to select better prospect. That's make the people think, search for a prospect around the each year for the happening. Again, Montreal Canadiens now with the Florida Panthers. If the Florida Panthers move up to round number 3, are going to be now select Montreal between 29 and 31st. About that, Montreal now are going to select 37 from right, 33, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're going to select 37 overall pick. This is the pick where the biggest questions will be, are the Montreal to wait or get a goaltender at 37? About that, what do you think about? What do you feel about this? Do you think Montreal can select a goalie 37 or wait a little bit later?
I got to go here, Coach. I got to run here, but I don't think they're picking a goalie at that point. I don't know, but it's possible. But I got to run, guys. It's actually I didn't really turn on any lights, so it's about to get pitch black, and I have to walk my dog too. So
not a problem.
A lot of fun.
Sound good.
Thanks, guys.
All good.
All right,
we'll see you a little bit later. Thanks so much, Marko. Appreciate that.
Bye.
Here we go.
Thanks.
Like that, I disappear, Marko, like that. It's good. You see, and after how he works about this.
It's magic, yeah. No, you know what? With that 37th pick, I wouldn't put it past them to consider a goalie, whatever the top goalie is, especially if no goalies have been selected before that. I mean, one area of concern for us has been exactly in that area. And so if you're going to be very happy with what lands in your lap at number 5 and possibly, let's say, 27, 28, 29, thereabouts, then why not take a chance with a goalie? in the second round.
Yeah,
That makes total sense to me.
yeah, absolutely about that. A lot of people talk about PB Chicago with Mishkov. I don't think so, Anthony. Will happen about this. And people say I feel sad for Bedard go with Chicago. Listen, guys, when you going to be first of all pick 99.9, you're going to be with a bad team usually, at least like the New York Rangers happening. So expect that he go with a team like Chicago
Yeah.
or Anaheim or the only thing I think Mr. ENORTAP on the top five, maybe top 6 or 7. The only team are maybe contender quicker, faster is the Columbus Blue Jacket.
Columbus. Absolutely. Without a
The
doubt.
rest,
But
they go nowhere. You know what I mean? Like the other team. Chicago for the last 3 years, starting with Lucas Rickle in 2020, have 6 first overall pick, Mr. ENORTAP. So if you think about this, it's going to be a little bit wait, a little bit longer, but it's going to be exactly what happening 2008, I believe, when Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews get the first overall pick, right? And then they select Toews. That's happening right now. They are on transformation to be a good team the next 5 years. And I think at the end, that's a good location. Bedard go play at 6-team original team. I think for him is a good news too. And I think to play on the Chicago versus Anaheim, I think they're helping the NHL marketing. But this is another subject for another time. But yeah, a lot of people
totally.
constantly talking, Mr. ENORTAP in the chat.
I can think of so many other poor locations for Bedard to have landed in. I mean, to go to a historic team like Chicago, where hockey is part of their lifestyle there in Chicago. Like it's part of their culture. It's not a city where it's going to rank third or fourth or fifth in terms of overall sports. It's a city that loves hockey, and they're going to climb again because it's a great organization.
You know, like Columbus with all the prospects they already have is great point, Nicholas. Then we have, I think we have Anaheim. Look like Anaheim could be a better team for Bedard, but the prospect there is a little bit better. Like you talk about McDavid, is a grass, and all the defensemen they already have. If you talk about the concept of the prospect, yes, but I think for Bedard, he's going to be what he think he's going to be. I think for Steve G, so Chicago about this one there. Congratulations for Nick. Nick, I don't know he's him tonight, but it'd be great. At the end of the day, Mr. Hunter, we're going to resume what happening tonight at the Hockey Nation Live Show, the Ab Nation Tonight Show. This is going to be the new show for the summer, guys. We're going to have a lot of people coming join us during the summer, talking about different things. But look, I think that first of all, the game is live between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers, Mr. Hunter. It looked like the other score.
They did.
This one there is a 2-1, and go back and find it. Tip a score. The first goal of the night is Warren for Gel. This is what they need, Mr. Natap. And I feel me, the Edmonton are in mission.
Absolutely. Look, like Coach, we saw it last year. Once they got through that first round, it was primarily 3 or 4 players that were carrying the load. But this year, it's much more of a team effort. The defense is much more solid. I think the goaltending, while not spectacular, is very good, and that's what you need, right? Look at the teams that are in the final 8 here. Only one team really has, I would say, an elite goalie. The rest are all either good, very good, average. So Edmonton looks good for me.
Well said, Mr. Natap. Some people, Mr. Natap, we love here, and sometimes they cannot come all the time. Renaud is back in the chat, Mr. Natap. Renaud is back. And Renaud, here's the guy always thinking outside the box, right? He's always thinking about different things, Mr. Natap. He said, now, Bedard with Chicago. He said, the next is going to be Austin Matthews. Now it's going to be Chicago Blackhawks.
Well, you never know. Anything can happen, right? Let's wait for this Toronto-Florida series to be over, because if it does end in 4 games, you can rest assured there's going to be – you can't go status quo with Toronto yet again and try to sell the fan base that next year's our year. Like, they've run this up the flag many times, and we're getting the same result. You can make the argument, hey, this year at least we got through the first round, but you can make an equal argument that Tampa Bay was injured and they dominated most of those games anyways. The puck just didn't bounce their way. So I think that something has to happen in Toronto, and it probably starts at the management level and works its way down to one or two players that have to be moved.
Yep. You have other thing happening, of course. Mr. Notar, you're still there, right?
Yeah.
We have 1-0. People talk about the resume this, Mr. Notar. Luc Lafortune and Roger Delaney have the right things. The last statement of the show, I believe, talk about one thing is sure, Montreal going to get a very good player.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I would even go as he'll be a top 3 player, not just a very good player. A very good player for me is a top 6. I think it's going to be a top 3 player.
The Vegas tied the game, Mr. Notar, 1-1. Marchessault score, so it's 1-1 Vegas and Edmonton Oilers, 1-1. And then we want to mention to you guys, the Chicago Blackhawks is the winner of the lottery NHL. Some people pop up late and they want to know who they are. The winner is Chicago Blackhawks, and number 2 is Anaheim Ducks. Columbus dropped to the third. Now with the Columbus Blue Jackets going to be number 3rd. So the top 3 player team are Chicago Blackhawks, jump from 3 to 1st. The Anaheim Ducks drop from 1st to 2nd, and the Columbus Blue Jackets drop from 2nd to 3rd for everybody. And they chat a little bit more about this. Maybe both Matthews and Nylander could be on the block. Nicholas, I want to be surprised about this. One of them with definite manner need to hit the road. Team T. I agree with Gary Cournoyer, Gordon, and Hughes team have a plan, and maybe is involved at 20, pick 5 at 32, and Chicago and 37. Wow.
Gorton and Hughes have a plan, and maybe it involves trading picks 5, 32, and 37. I don't see that moving. I don't see that happening personally. I don't see that any team that gets either 1 or 2.
But you have, the only one is Chicago, Mr. Top. That's it.
Well, yeah, if you're going for number 1. If you're going for Fantilli,
you cannot trade for Fantilli.
Yeah.
Or, for me, guys, remember this, and I'm going to repeat again for many weeks now. The gap between Fantilli and then Smith and Carlson, it's not big. They are not big friends. Right. So from 5 to go to 2nd, it's not big. You're going to give 3 players in return, and you get a Smith. So you gave 2 other players for almost not much at the end of the day. Now, if you talk about Bedard, yes, but Chicago, when they're going to get number 5 at 29, 37, you will need to add a Cole Caulfield. You need to add a Caden Cooley, everything like that. If you go that direction, Mr. Nata. That's it for if you want to get better. I don't see anything else about that. There are a lot of people talking about this, about something around the NHL.
They're in a very strategic position, I think. You can rest assured that Hughes is going to have contingency plans. If this person is selected, which direction to go. If that person is drafted, then this is the way we go. And I would circle San Jose, because I think a lot is going to hinge on where they go with that pick. And if Michkov lands on their lap, that believe me, you cannot go wrong with Michkov.
Not at all. Not at all. I think at the end of the day, I think they are on the right spot, number 5. They're going to see what they have on the board. I like conversation players with them, maybe Leonard or Devaski, everything like that. But the plan we talked about earlier, Mr. Top, the next 4 following by Bedard, they are supposed to be the number 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the next pick and the selection by any other team. I don't see any surprise coming from Benson, Devaski, Leonard, or anything else. At least something, Montreal see something, but right now I don't see that.
Exactly.
People send Matthews, another one from Gators, like going to the Kings.
That's a very distinct possibility. I mean, they do have cap space. They're a team that's on the rise. You're going to get a very, very talented player. And I think for Matthews' sake, or even Marner, if that were the case, they need to land in a bit of a soft spot. And by that, I mean, they've got to go to a team that has already the type of players that are built for playoffs. And these are now the guys that go there, whether it's Marner or it's Matthews. They're the ones that are going to supply your secondary scoring. All right. They don't need to go in there and put the team on their shoulders. Other people on that team will be able to do that. And you'll see that they'll excel under those circumstances. Right now in Toronto, it's the spotlight is always on them. And the moment that they don't put up a point or two, it's because they're soft. They're not leaders. They're, their stats in the regular year are fine. They're actually excellent when you look at those two players in particular. But when it comes to the playoffs, they're good, but they're not great, right? And I think it's because they're not the types of players that are made for the playoffs. They're more of your secondary type of player.
Yeah, so right. You need a player like you talk about Edmonton, like Evan Kane example, like the spark plug players, everything like that. I think they don't have.
Kachuk.
And I think that's the problem with Toronto and Pelé. We'll definitely talk about them the next couple of days when they go to get eliminated the next couple of days anyway. My edit, the trading fifth 32 is for one more development prospect, 22 years old, Gary. Yes, but who? This is a big question. Who do you give? And you guarantee you're going to give away a Mitch Cobb, a Will Smith for a player like Kirby Dack? I think it's too much. I think you're going to lose in the time about that. The player going to select number 5 is guarantee you 80 points in NHL, Jerry. Whatever who is going to be get there. So you gave that one for a player already like Lafreniere, or you gave the 5th overall pick for Lafreniere, or I don't know who they talk about Capo or New Hook for the Colorado Avalanche.
I wouldn't.
I don't see that. I don't see the advantage about that. No. But now is Iris rewards. That's going to be player. We have to get coach. I see you window getting cleaner at the condominium. Talk about Rick Bengal about that one. It's happening with Ben Bishop at the Sabres. It's a great goal scorer, everything like that. Look, guys, we've been there for about 90 minutes, not because we don't want to consider the conversation, is because we're going to go back to the game between the Vegas and the Golden Knight. And Edmonton Oilers. ENORTAP, it's always a pleasure having you aboard. I think this is it the year number 2 with me for the live streaming for that one, or is it the first time?
Oh, for the draft? No, it's our second year together, yeah.
Second year. I think last year, Andrew Lapage was with us.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
Yes.
So hopefully Andrew is doing well, and everything for everybody else. And Michael Devino, maybe the next time will be interesting to see that. Guys, this is the one big show we do every year for the NHL draft. The next big show is going to be the NHL draft and the Nashville. We did last year the full round number 1, and they're going to consider this. Of course, going to continue to do the Ab Brunch, your Sunday rendezvous, Montreal Canadiens every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, and we're going to bring the Ab Nation Tonight show the night when the player will be out, or we have a free night. We want to go back live at 9 o'clock p.m. Of course, ENORTAP will be joined us many times on the summer. So
sure,
that's what we got. Anything you want to add a little bit more, Mr. ENORTAP, before we leave the building?
No, we have some exciting games coming up over the next few days, Coach. We'll see how things go, and we're going to take this one step at a time until July comes around and the draft is upon us.
You're absolutely right about this. One last question for Yann. Who do you compare Bedard?
Oh, Bedard, he's not quite at the McDavid level, but he comes a close second. I think this guy is the real deal. The longevity will be there as well, because I think he's a solid build in terms of a guy. So I would put him in that category.
Well said, Mr. Tap. You know, it's a mix of between a little bit lower a McDavid, but a mix of a McDavid, a Kane, but not like McDavid, but a more like a little bit better to Patrick Kane. I think his shot is so much better about that. Great vision, a great IQ, a great release shot. So that's what Connor Bedard is. And if the Rangers keep Kane or Tarasenko, again, all depend the money. I don't think so. Patrick Kane return with New York Rangers. Tarasenko, they'll all depend the family, what they want to do. Great show tonight, everybody. We appreciate that, Mr. Notar and Marko Larabi. And we can wait to see both of you the next time. Until then, my friend, everybody in the chat, thank you, all the moderators. I know many of them was in the chat. And we apologize. We did not go deep with your conversation because we want to really go around the NHL Draft Lottery 2023. Just maybe saying the Montreal Canadiens are going to select 5th overall pick for the upcoming NHL Draft. Until then, my friend, we want to remind everybody, you are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. So the time you can dream about Mishkov now for the next couple of weeks. That we have time to do that. But we want to remind everybody, we're going to turn off this live stream. I'm going to come back right away to go with the game, the Vegas and the Edmonton Oilers. 9 minutes to go remaining in the first period. Still 1-1 between Edmonton and Vegas Golden Knights. Until then, my friend, be well, be out. We'll find a way not only dominate your day, but find a way to dominate the first half of what, Mr. Nartap?
You're 2023.
He did it again. Have an amazing, great night, everybody. I will see you the next couple of minutes. Good night, Mr. Nartap. Thanks again for being with us.
Good night.